Yo, what is up, guys? XRP's at $1.04 right now on CoinMarket. Our first tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. New U.S. Senator Tim Scott says the Senate should vote on crypto market structure legislation in July, past the Clarity Act. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Tice. Breaking: Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong just called out the banks directly. Banks are trying to undermine President Trump's crypto agenda. They're trying to protect their own profit margins, taking money out of pockets of hardworking average Americans. This is the fight at the center of the entire Clarity Act. The banks aren't fighting crypto because it's dangerous, they're fighting it because it threatens their deposits. Stablecoins paying yield means trillions could leave the banking system forever. So they lobby, they stall, they fight, while quietly building their own crypto infrastructure behind the scenes. JP Morgan already built on XRP Ledger. The same banks fighting the bill are preparing to profit from it. The fight is real and the banks are losing it. Let's watch this video.
Got the Genius Act passed into law, which actually did enable stablecoin rewards to happen. The banks had their own concerns, and we reached a good outcome in the Genius Act. And now the banks really are coming and trying to undermine the president's crypto agenda. I mean, these are the same banks that debanked him and his family, right? And they want to come in and say that Americans should not be able to actually earn more money on their money. They're trying to protect their own profit margins, taking money out of the pockets of hardworking average Americans and putting it into the coffers of these big banks that are hitting record profits. And so our view is that there should be a level playing field where banks and crypto companies can lean into stablecoin legislation as an opportunity. And that includes paying rewards to Americans so that they can earn more money on their money.
Smash that subscribe button and hit that like button if you believe XRP will reach $3 again this year. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Huge! White House's digital asset advisor says July would be a great time to celebrate our nation's 250th leadership by cementing American leadership in global financial markets. Clarity will be passed soon. Our next tweet comes from the Crypto Squire. Boom! Ferrari now accepts XRP for payments across the US and Europe. One of the world's most iconic luxury brands is embracing the future of finance. Fast cars, instant payments, XRP. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Breaking: Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse slams Michael Saylor for using STRC to buy Bitcoin live on CNBC. Financial engineering does not drive long-term value. Long-term value of any digital asset is going to be driven by utility. Let's watch this video.
Garlinghouse, Ripple, of course, a member of CNBC's Disruptor 50 list. It's great to have you back at the NYSE, Brad. Good to see you.
Great to be back.
So when they were a seller for the first time in a while, strategy that is, that got a lot of notice. Do you think that started something?
I think it definitely started something. And, I think the challenge is it added some excitement on the way up. And now that's compounding on the way down as well. And so as we have seen, crypto is going to go through its cycles. Many asset classes do that. I think because they were using leverage, Michael Saylor would characterize it differently than leverage per se. But at the end of the day, it was leverage, and then you start to see that in a place that can actually compound negatively. I mean, seeing their the particular thing they have pegged at 100 now trade, I think 25% below par, is a pretty damning indictment, and I don't think that's helped the market.
Yeah, a ticker, if the booth is wondering, that would be STRC, which we're watching closely. I mean, there's been a lot of ink spilled on how Saylor protects the preferred, protects the currency, and protects the equity. Do you think one should come first?
Look, I actually think what should come first is focusing on what's going to drive long-term value. And I think that financial engineering does not drive long-term value. I said actually on CNBC 5 or 6 years ago that I thought the long-term value of any digital asset is going to be driven by utility. And if it's solving a problem at scale for real customers, you're going to see liquidity, you're going to see demand, you're going to see trust in that asset. Those things compound in a positive way. And I think if you're just trying to financial engineer and leverage and borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin, it's kind of like, look, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think I subscribe to the Warren Buffett expression of be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Now is the time, I think, to be greedy. But I also think, Team Michael Saylor wasn't focused on the right stuff, and that has hurt the overall market.
So what do you think the utility of Bitcoin is now?
Well, Bitcoin is definitely carved out, I think, a space as digital gold. And, there's all kinds of funny stories about when the central bank of Germany was moving $300 billion of gold. It took 2 years and billions of dollars to move it. If you wanted to move $300 billion of Bitcoin, you could do that in a pretty reasonable, quick way. So I think about Ripple's digital asset that we focus on as kind of our technology stack, XRP. The utility there is really focused on payments and leveraging the speed and efficiency of that blockchain in a way for institutions. And we've seen tremendous demand. I mean, last year, partly through acquisitions, we cleared $16 trillion of payments or clearing on the prime brokerage business. But last year, the percentage of that went through a digital asset was close to 0%. So the opportunity is to introduce and bring traditional finance, and Ripple's strategy from the beginning has been, how do we bring traditional finance into the modern architecture of blockchain? And now through some acquisitions, we have a tremendous opportunity to bring that in.
Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis says, I believe we are going to get the Clarity Act done. It's happening in 2026. Our next tweet comes from CoinDesk. Update, Europe had 3,000 plus registered crypto firms in 2024. Today, just 244 hold MiCA licenses, meaning the rest must wind down operations by July 1st. Our next tweet comes from Crypto Barbie. Senator Cynthia Lummis says her crypto tax bill would put an end to the unfair tax practices and level the playing field for digital assets. Level playing field, XRP. Let's watch this video.
It is now, and that's why we want to discuss the digital asset tax legislation, because there's a whole lot of parts of this. But again, it's smart stuff because, listen, if the more it grows, we want to make sure people are protected with taxes. You want to talk about the most important parts of this?
I do. There's a part that would prevent the double taxation of digital assets. Right now, they're taxed when they're identified, and they're taxed again when they're sold. We don't do that with things like gold and cattle. We tax them when they're sold. And so we need to change that for digital assets. We're also sponsoring legislation that would create a de minimis amount that people could spend. When we're using Bitcoin as a means of exchange, we want to have a de minimis amount that can be used and spent without being subject to taxation. That amount would be about $5,000 per year. So those are a couple of the main provisions.
Our next tweet comes from X Finance Bull. XRP Army, listen up. Don't be scared of the XRP price right now. Mike Higgins from Ripple Prime just showed why. Institutions are trading XRP against dollars, yen, and pounds, all aggregated into one book. That's utility forming underneath. If you know, you know. Let's watch this video.
You can buy and sell XRP against dollars. You can buy and sell XRP against Japanese yen or British pounds here in the UK or Europe, right? That adds a foreign exchange component, because if you're market making, as an example, XRP dollars to one client and XRP yen to another client, then you end up with a dollar yen platform. So it would be disruptive. It would be capital inefficient if you had to do your FX business separate to your digital asset business. And so these are some of the requirements we had early on from our clients to, again, do it all in a single location. The other thing is investors. If you take it from the investor standpoint, investors are pushing on the trading firms to produce more, which is why they're moving outside of just trading public markets. And so being able to access digital assets, foreign exchange, listed derivatives, fixed income, all in a single platform is allowing the investor to push the traders and to those traders to actually perform against that. So those were the pillars, Jacqueline, that we used early on to establish our business, and those have paid dividends, especially as the market inexorbitantly is moving in the way of digital assets in 24/7.
Real quick, if this helped, press the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to people who want the truth, not hype. And press the subscribe button if you're done being sold the moon. I've already got your next one right here. Go.